So last session we learned how we can handle various primitive types. So we just checked, are there any differences in presenting data? So we learned about how to access data and present the data and the different data types, how we manage. So we are going to see now non-primitive types. Already in your classroom group, I posted a form concept notes also. Have you seen it? HTML forms. I uploaded one tutorial. That is nothing but to deal with React and all, you need to be perfect in understanding forms. I hope when you learnt your HTML, you learnt all the form concept very well. But I posted one document related to form, how all attributes, everything works. You can check that. So we posted, that is for your reference sake. So today, what we are going to see is, so we will learn about handling non-primitive types, how we can manage non-primitive types. So in the non-primitive types, today we will see array, how we can present array. I am not teaching about array. We are learning how array works in React, because what is array you already learn in JavaScript. Here we are learning, are there any differences? What are differences? First point, you should know that when you are working with array, array configuration is same as in JavaScript. Array configuration is same how generally we do that in JavaScript. What is that array configuration? So how you configure array? You learned two techniques. You can define with meta character and you can define with array constructor. So that means when you create some array, you can define with meta character or you can define with array constructor. What is difference between these two? What is difference between array defined with meta character and array defined with constructor? Second one is constructor. First one is meta character. What is difference? Obviously, both are not same. If both are same, they will not have two options for same. Don't know? Wherever in computer programming, you see the word new, it means dynamic memory. No, that means array constructor declares a dynamic memory. What is nature and behavior of dynamic memory? Memory is allocated on request and disposed after the request. So if you are not using new, it uses a static memory. Static memory means continuous memory. The memory allocated for one object will continue for next. Later, when we discuss some OOP concept, I will explain. So more depth into that. But meta character will create a array with static memory. That means the values that you allocate in memory, they will remain even when your request is completed. Your request is completed, the values will continue. What is advantage? We can access and use from another object. So if you want some data continuously, then we have to use static. I will explain in a technical concept. Observe. If anyone asks what is difference between static and non-static, let's see how we can prove that point about static and non-static. I will show one example. Actually, if anyone asks what is difference between static and non-static, so we should explain about generally OOP learners, generally op Java, .NET, C++, all these OOP learners. If we ask what is static and non-static difference, what is your answer? Now, people will tell that static is accessible by class name. Am I right? Who asked you how it is accessed? We know that static is accessed by class name, but my question was what is static, and you are telling how it is accessed. Majority of people have same type of definition. If we ask what is static, they say that we can access by class name. That is not purpose of static. That is behavior of static. So what is static, non-static is how we define technically. Static is continuous memory. Non-static is discrete memory. That is the basic difference. I will give a point here. See. So actually, meta character, this is called meta character. Meta character configures a static memory. What is the nature of static memory? Static memory is actually, it is continuous memory. So if anyone asks what is the purpose of static, to allocate continuous memory. Continuous memory means memory allocated for one object will continue to next object, will continue to next object. That is continuous memory. So what is array constructor? Array constructor configures a dynamic memory. It is discrete memory. Discrete memory means disconnected memory. That means memory is newly allocated for every object. You can say for every object memory newly allocated. So that is point. Okay, let's prove this point. How we can prove this? Let's see. I will show you, just observe, no need to worry about what I am writing. Class demo. This demo class have a static S0 and a non-static N0. I am having a print method. This will have demo.s is demo.s plus 1, and this dot n is this dot n plus 1. That means static and non-static members. S is a static member and n is a non-static member. And S and n are increased by 1. Both are 0 plus 1. You see now, I am creating object 1 and a new demo. And through object 1, we will print here. I am creating object 2, new demo. And through object 2, we are printing. I'm creating object 3, new demo. 3 different new objects are created, and all 3 objects are printing. We are defining 3 different objects, and all 3 objects are printing. Now, what happens is the first object will go and use this S, and then what happens is S value will be 0 plus 1. It will be how much? 1. It will use N also, 0 plus 1. It will be 1. After that, you see first object completed. If first object completed, this memory deleted, but this memory continues. That means the second object is a new object, but this second object will continue the memory of first. That means for second object, S value will be how much? 1 plus 1. It will be 2. But N will be how much? Again 0 plus 1 is 1. Now second object completed. When second object completed, this deleted, but this will continue. Third object can go and use that memory. That means memory will continue. If anyone asks in interview what is difference between static and dynamic or non-static, you tell any story, interviewer are not satisfied until or unless you use the terms continuous and discrete. For example, you see now what it is going to print. I will print these two values, document dot write. We will print the value of S is demo dot S, and I will print N. N is the this dot N. We are printing it with a break I will give. And when I run this, you can see that S value is 1, 2, 3, but N is 1. That is the proof of concept. I told you na POC. That means if interviewer asks, prove me static, non-static. This is how we prove static, non-static. That means static is continuing. Any programming language, we can prove this. Same concept. You are Java, C++, C, .NET, any programming language, same thing can be proved everywhere. So technically, static is continuous memory and non-static is a discrete memory. If interviewer asks, explain me in real time where we use it, I will explain a point. Suppose we are using a UPI payment app. In that UPI payment app, we are paying money to a person to using a phone number. And while paying, it will ask, please verify your PIN. You verified the PIN, transaction completed. To the same person, immediately within the next second, I am sending some more money. Then it will ask PIN again. Am I right? Why? For the same person I am sending again. Immediately I am sending. Why you are asking PIN again? Because the PIN allocated for the first request is deleted after that request. That is very good because it is safe. It is secured. Now imagine you opened, that is the advantage of non-static memory. Non-static memory means memory allocated, transaction completed, memory deleted. That's good. Now same memory is used in a website where I logged in and there are 10 pages. And for first page, it asked me login. I entered my user ID password and logged in and I watched the first page. After that, when I go to second page, it will log out again. That means for every page, do I need to log in? That's not good idea. Right? For every page you are login, that is not good idea. Then what kind of memory is good? Static. Because the memory allocated for first will continue for others. There we need what kind of memory? Static. But static problem is if I don't sign out, then my credentials can be still available and it is using memory unnecessarily. Static uses memory unnecessarily, but it is good for what kind of operations? Continuous. Static is good for continuous operations, non-static is good for discrete operation. That is actual point. I'm not giving this program, just I explained this to make you understand how you define static and non-static, right? So in this one more option, this is array constructor. This is which kind of memory? Discrete. So in React, when you declare array, there are two ways. You can use meta character or you can use constructor. You can use constructor. So how you define? Let's go to our React and here how you configure. So constant, suppose I say categories is equal to use state and memory is an array. In that we have all, in that we have some electronics like this we are defining. Or you can do in another way. What you can do, you can use new array. In that we can store. So we can put we can put electronics like this, we can add electronics like this, we can add. Both are valid. We can use array constructor or we can use array meta character. So array configuration is same. Okay. Next important here is array configuration is same. Array methods are same. As in JavaScript, what are array methods you learned? Adding elements into array. How you can add? Push, unshift, and splice. Am I right? How to remove elements from array? Pop, shift, and splice. We can remove elements from array. How to read elements from array? There are so many. I will just give you few if you are not remembering those. Array methods means, so here reading elements, we can use toString, we can use join. This is actually all elements. We can use map for each. We can use map. We can use for in operator. We can use for off operator. So we can use various looping statements. We can use different looping statements, but these are not recommended in React, because in React, in JSX, statements are not allowed. So which one is used in React? I will show you how we can handle that and use that. Reading elements, we can use this. So adding elements. So adding elements, you have what? So push, we have unshift, we have splice. These are your adding elements. Removing elements. So you have options like shift, we have like pop, and again we have like splice. We can use them. How to find elements? Finding elements, we can use find method. Find method. We can use filter method. We can use index of. So we can use last index of. All these we can use for finding elements. It returns the index number, last index number. If element is not found, it will return -1. Find filter for finding the elements, and you have sorting elements. So we can use sort, we can use reverse like options. Actually, finding elements we can do includes also. Includes is also used for that. These are all sorting elements, finding elements, removing, adding, reading all the elements. These are all array things you will learn in JavaScript array. While working with array, these all the concepts you will learn. And to read elements from array, to read elements from array, which is the best one to read all elements from an array? Out of all techniques, the best one is map. This is the best one. Map is the best one for reading all elements from an array. Actually, in many interviews, you will find this question: what is difference between for each and map? Do you know? Both are used for reading elements from array. For each also will read every element and its index number. Map also reads. What is difference between for each and map? For each is void type. It will read every element and do some operation on the element, but it will not return the element. Map is going to read and return the element. So in React, so we have to use the map method. In React, we have to use the map method. So the perfect method for each will not work in React. I will show you. Map is the best method. So what map can do? It can read and return. Read and return. So in interviews, so there are so many methods. In interviews, one question is very common. What is difference between for each and map? These are two important methods. Actually, for each is a void type method which can read every element but cannot return. So map is used to read and return every element. Read and return every element. So it is not void type. It is not void type. So difference between for each and map. So map is for reading and returning, and for each will just read. So you cannot use for each in React. So in React, to read every element from an array and use it, we have to use which option? Map. In JSX, we have to use this map. And so many points are there, I will tell you. Generally, how you present array elements in JavaScript and how you present in React, lot of difference. So what is that difference? I will show you how we present the elements. Actually, suppose I will give here. Yeah. Let's go to, I will clean up this one. Yeah. Let's go to the HTML. Yeah. See, suppose we are having a page with an OL and we are having a drop down. So body onload, body load. Okay, we have a script and we have some categories. Is an array, we have all, we have electronics like this. We have fashion. Okay. Now what we want is on body load, we want to read all these array elements and load into ordered list as list item. I want to load all the items into drop down as option. That means we have to read elements from an array and we need to update into ordered list and drop down. How you do in JavaScript? In JavaScript, how you can present them? It's a lengthy process. First, we have to read every category. So we will use categories.map. Map uses a callback function. It can read every item. After that, for every item, I need to create an OL. Into OL, I should add, means I have to create a LI. That means we have to create LI, document dot create element and LI. A list item must be created. What should be LI inner HTML? It should contain item, whatever item you are reading from array. After that, add this list item into OL. Document dot query selector OL dot append child. We have to add LI. That means into any HTML parent element, you can add child element using append child. Then it is going to add that ordered list. How you add into a drop down? To add into a drop down, first we have to create an option. Document dot create element. Which one? Option. And option dot text. It should display item. Option dot value. It should display item. And document dot query selector into drop down, we have to append child as li. Sorry, what is it? Option. And you will see that these are added into drop down. That's what JavaScript teaches you, how you present the elements into UI. Right? This is the only way JavaScript can do. There is no other way. There is no other way. This is how JavaScript can read every element from an array and it can display. If anyone asks you like create all these elements and add to into a table, it is too complicated. Designing a table is too complicated. But in real world, that's required. Generally, to read every element from array and to present element in UI, this is what we have to do in JavaScript. There is no other way. This is the only way. This is the only way. You have to create elements dynamically. You need to assign data to those elements and add elements into the parent. Suppose if they ask like design a nav bar, right? They ask like design a sidebar. We created them. In that, put them as menu items. It's very complicated. Now in React, this is simple. In React, it is very simple. What we can do in React, let's see. Suppose I'm having categories and is equal to use state and it is an array all. We have electronics. So we have fashion. So we have like footwear, something like this. Okay, now this data need to presented here in an ordered list. We want to present the data in an ordered list. Simple. Here you put a binding expression and you can read all elements from array. You cannot use for while because statements are not allowed in JSX. Then what we have to do? Categories dot what map. Categories dot map and map uses a callback function. This function will read every item, and every item we have to create a list item. For every item, we should return one list item. In the list item here, we will display that item. That's it. Now you can see that it is going to present in our, acha, we have to run this now. npm run dev. Okay. Let's open that. You can see now I'm opening here localhost 5173, and you see it is coming. This is simple. And generally, this is very simple. The same thing in JavaScript is lengthy. We have to create element, we need to append element, so much. And it is mandatory. You have to do like this only in JavaScript. That's the reason when little bit advanced level interviews, when they show up a lot of experience, what in interview they do, they say that I know in React how to do, show me in JavaScript. Because that tests the skills of developers' DOM manipulations. And you are not a web developer in any technology if you are not good at DOM interactions, DOM manipulations. That means they will say, this is after all simple data. They will give complex data. Like one employee details present in a table in JavaScript. It's very complicated. We will see. Here it is easy. How you can simply do, suppose I want to present this in a drop down. It's very simple. What we have to do inside the drop down, categories dot what? Map. Read every item, and for every item you have to return an option, and the option should contain item. That's it. You can see a drop down will come. This is very complicated in general, but it is very simple in React. It can easily handle interactions using this technique. And observe, instead of map, I am using for each. I am using for each to read every element, because actually for each also can read every element. So if I use for each, it is not showing. For each unable to display because for each is an void type. It cannot return. Actually in JavaScript, we can use for each also. We can use for each, we can use for loops, we can use while loops, we can use do while loops, but here no chance. Here we have to use only one method. What is it? Map. How we can read elements from array in React? There is only one technique. And what is it? Map. And one more important is, it is working, map is working fine. But what is another point is, what map is doing? Means actually what it is doing is, it is creating a list item. And what it is doing, it is duplicating it. How many times? Until this list. Na? And if any element is duplicated, then React gets confused. React says that several duplicates with same name are coming. Please put a unique identification. That means React says that same element, several duplicates are created. Then it is not good for interacting. Why? We cannot delete them, we cannot edit them, because we don't know at which position which one is present. Then what React asks us? React says that if you are repeating any element like this, make sure that every repeating element have a unique identification. How you define unique identification? By using a key property. By using a key property. Key must be unique ID, a unique key. That means the value given for one element cannot be used for another. And without this unique key, you cannot delete, you cannot edit, you cannot even find the position of an element which is repeating. And that's the reason React will not accept. You can see that in the output it is showing. In the output, fine, working fine. But in the background, inspect, there is an error. You can observe the console, there is an error. And error is nothing but each child in list should have a unique key property that is mandatory. Actually, what map can do, map can read item and index. It can read both item and index. It can read item and index. So what we can do, we can use key as what? Index. We can use here also key as what? Index. Make sure that every repeating element have a key, otherwise issue will come. Mandatory that they should have a key. And actually in real world programming, we don't recommend to use index for keys. That's not good. We don't recommend index for keys. Then what? Always use a primary key field for that. That means actually data will come later from database. In database, every field have a primary key. We are requested, that means we are suggested to use the primary key fields, not index numbers. As of now, index number, okay, working, satisfied. Several people try to use. But if you give this type of code to a senior, then he will say that why you are using index number. He says that it is unique ID. Okay, but do you know by using index, performance issue will come. You should not use it. That means many times you will see people still using index number, but according to programming standards, better ignore. Don't use index. Always use which one? Any primary key. As of now, we don't have a primary key, so that is the reason we are using. Later, when we have primary key complex data, I will show how we can handle that. So this is very important. So what is another point here? Yeah. So here, what is another point? So React can use only map for presenting array elements in JSX. React can use only map for presenting array elements in JSX. And very important is what it does is, what another point is, React can dynamically create and append element into UI. That it can do. It can create and append element into UI dynamically. React can dynamically create and append element into UI. You don't need to manually create. In JavaScript, we have to manually create. How? By using a method called create element. By using create element, we have to create and we need to append. Here you see now, here we are defining a simple option. So that means what we have to do, one more option is React requires a unique key property for every repeating element. So it requires a unique key. So how do we add syntactically? So we have some data and we need to use what? Map. Read every item. Roughly we will use item and what? Index. For every item we are creating a list item with key as index and the value as item. Like this we can create. That is how we need to use map. So that is how we need to define the map. And one more, like that, any element we can create. A unique key is important. This key is important, right? Now later we will learn about different presentations. We will take some real-time data from any API and we will try to present, right? I just showed you we can present in a ordered list, we can present in a drop down. Suppose I want to present in a table. We have T head, TR, and TH. This is suppose categories. And in the T body, I want to present every item inside the table body. Then what we have to do? Binding expression, categories dot what? Map, read every item. And for every item, we need to create, it is a table body. In table body, directly we can't add anything. We need a row. And this row should have a unique key, that item I given. And in that row, we need a TD. TD is table cell. In the table cell, we have to put the item. Then it will create one table like this. That means it is going to create a table. And it is showing some error, hydration error. This I will explain later. What is that hydration error, how it works. This is related to spacing and empty contents, how to present them and all. Later I will explain because we need some additional options here. So as of now, it is not any problem. It is just HTML issue. It is an HTML related option. What is hydration is a very advanced level interview question. I will explain. I will show you that. All right. So technically, first thing, presentation is working. No problem. In the presentation, how you present the table, that table needs a border. So one, then you see table will come. So complex data, later we can see how we can manage that. So initially, first important is how we can read and present. I hope everyone clear, right? Configuring elements, reading elements, and presenting elements, how we manage them, right? Later, we are going to do all manipulation, adding, removing, everything we will see. First, we need to know presentation. So this is array related manipulation, how to configure array, how to read elements. And I hope you people know React can use array destructure. Already we know destructuring array destructure and spread operator. Array can use array destructuring and spread operator. So this you learned in array concept, destructuring and spread. They are very important for arrays. In JavaScript, you will learn destructure and spread. Actually, what is destructure? I think previously I explained. Right. Spread, how to use spread for array. Actually, for example, spread is nothing but where, so we have list 1. It is having an array 10, 20. We are having list 2. So this is having some 30, 40. Something. We are having where list 3 is equal to list 1 and list 2. Now, how many elements are in list 3? How many elements are in list 3? List 3 is having 2 elements. It is having 2 elements. You can see that list 3 is having 2 elements. I'll put here in the console, you see it is having 2 elements in list 3, 0, 10, 20 and this one. I want to separate this list, dot, dot, dot. Now how many elements? 3 elements, 10, 20 are separated. They spread. And list 2. That means we have 3 elements inside that array now. 3. Right? This is spread operator and you know that it is used for which purpose? That is used for copying elements from one array to array. copying elements, updating elements from array, all these are very much done by using spread operators. So using spread and destructure is same. So it can use both of those in the same way. I'm not giving any example. I'm saying that it is same as you done in your JavaScript, right? It can use destructure and spread. Okay, this is array type. I hope you are clear, right? So how do we deal with arrays, right? Next important is in JavaScript, we have object type. We have an object type, right? We have array and we have object. So what is object type? What is the concept of object? There is no difference. So you know what is the purpose of object? To keep all relative data and logic together. So it is same as in JavaScript. So I'm not explaining anything. So you know that it is a key and value collection. It is a key and value collection. And you know that key is string and value can be any type. And how do you define an object? With a key and a value. You can have multiple keys and values separated with comma. The keys and values are separated. And object manipulations are same. Object manipulations are same. Object manipulations means nothing but reading all keys, reading all values. So reading both keys and values. So removing a key. So finding a key, right? And hiding a key. All these comes under object manipulation, right? So in JavaScript, you already learned this. In React also we use in the same way. In React also we configure in the same way, reading all the keys, all the values. So how you read all the keys, values from an object? For example, we are having, so I will copy this rough example. I will keep it for this array, just roughly for your verification. Okay. Later we will design examples. For a suppose you are having an object. How do we handle the object? So we are having an object. So we have a constant product. Product is equal to use state. It is an object. It will have a key value. It will have a key and value. Some Samsung TV. It will have a key and value. Some key and value. Now very important, how to present it. Simple, you know, how do we present product ID? How we can present the product ID? Just product.id na? Because it is an object type. Object type means you can access directly by using this reference. We can access directly by using this reference. That means you can see it is going to access and display here. It will display. Right? That means now the question is how we can read all the keys. To read all the keys, to read all the values, to read both keys and values. Generally in JavaScript, for that, what you have? You have the method object.keys. Object.keys. Object.keys, and you have to pass the object name. Then what it will do? It will return an array of all the keys. Similarly, we have a method. What is it? Object.values. Into that you pass the object, it will return array of values. So we have object.entries. It will return the key, both keys and values. How to remove any key? We can remove a key by using delete operator. How you can find a key? By using in operator. How do you hide a key? By using symbol type. I think I explained last session symbol. How we hide the keys, how we find the keys, how we can remove the keys. These are all object related manipulations. JavaScript object manipulations we use here in the same way. Reading all the keys, reading all the values, reading both keys and values, removing the keys, finding the keys, and hiding the key. Delete. What is this delete? Delete operator. What is this in? In is also an operator. Symbol is a data type. Symbol data type. It is a primitive type to hide the keys. Object manipulations are same. There is no change. So how do we manipulate the object? For example, I want to read all the keys. What we do? Object dot what keys? Which object? Product. It will return an array. If it returns an array, you know we have to use a map. Read every key and you create a div, and in the div you present it. And here we need a key, and here we need to present that key. Am I right? It is going to print all the keys. ID, title, price. If I use here instead of keys, what it is? Values. That means it is going to read all values. We can read all the keys, all the values, both keys and values, everything. These are all manipulations in the same way how you do in JavaScript, we do. Right? And generally for interviews, what are the topics asked is this. How we read the keys, how we verify the keys, how we delete the keys, how we hide the keys. They are important. And what is another very important for interview in object related concept is they ask about what is optional chaining. What is optional chaining? This is very, very important for interviews related to object. What is optional chaining and how this optional chaining is used in real world? So while working with objects, it is mandatory. Optional chaining is very mandatory. Let's see what it is. Actually, what is the problem in JavaScript is because JavaScript is not a strongly typed language. So see what I'm doing. Where so product is equal to, it is an object. In this, it is having a title. Okay. It is having a rating 4.5. Like this we are having. Now, I am printing here console log product dot title. Okay, fine. And console log. So product dot rating. Just roughly 2 lines I am printing. And you can see that it is printing these details. You can see that it is going to print TV and 4.5. Suppose I'm trying to use here, I'm trying to use console.log. So product dot, so this is city dot stock. Stock is, I'm trying to access city dot stock. There is no city object. There is no city object inside this. So there is no city object inside that object, right? Object has only TV title and rating. City is not there. And in that city, there is no stock. First city itself not there. Then actually it will return here error. It says that cannot read properties of stock because there is nothing called city at all. But what is our intention is why we written like this if it is not there? Because we are expecting it. Later it will come. For some products it may not be there, but for some products it will be there. Then what we do is we put this with a question mark. This is called optional chaining. When we put this with a question mark, so saying that it is question mark means zero or one occurrence. That means it is not there, then make it as undefined. If it is there, then it use it. That means what will happen now when I refresh, it will show undefined. It will not show error. It will not show error. It will simply say undefined, right? Generally, if I don't do this, then it will show error and your program cannot compile. So, but our intention is to tell that city stock will come later, and city stock may not be available for everyone. For example, you see in Amazon, so many products are there. For every product, rating and reviews will not be there. But product have rating and reviews. Why some products don't have rating and review? Because nobody purchased it, nobody reviewed. Am I right? Then will you remove rating and review? No, we have to keep it. But if you keep and you don't mention for any object, it will show error. Then how you manage this problem? By using optional chaining. What our developers will do, they will, if I don't do this, then it will return undefined error. Means it will show that cannot read stock. Then we will put a question mark saying that city is not there, it will come later. And immediately it will not show it as an error, it will read as an undefined. If later we add a, this is what city, in that city we put a stock, in that stock we put true or false. That means now city is an object and it can get that and show. And if for any object, if it is not there, then it will not show error. If for any object, if it is not there, it will not show any error. It will just written as what? Undefined. Undefined. So our developers will write a program. What is that program? If it is defined, print. Otherwise, don't print. That means what our developers do is they write logic like this. If product.city, what does it means? If it is defined, then print it. Otherwise leave it empty, don't print it. Otherwise you can put some other message. And observe carefully, here it is printing city, true, stock is true. But if I remove that city, there is no city, then it will not show error, it will not show undefined, it will return only TV and 4. It will not even show undefined because we are verifying. If it is defined, then only print. If it is not defined, don't print. This is called optional chaining. Optional chaining is a mechanism where a object can have several embedded objects, and those embedded objects can receive data dynamically. If any object property is receiving data dynamically or dynamically it may be added to the object, then you have to mark it as optional. If any object is expecting some properties dynamically, then you have to mark them as optional. Otherwise, they will return error. We should not return error. We should return as undefined. Undefined. So, what is optional chaining and how you handle this optional chaining? Related to object, this is important. Optional chaining is nothing but, so if you are referring to any property, so property that is not defined, then it returns error. Then it returns error. Optional chaining allows to mark the dynamic properties as undefined. To mark the dynamic properties as undefined. So that they can be used only when defined. That is what the point about optional chaining. So this is important, how you mention this syntactically. When we access any, just rough, I will give. Suppose in this where product, this is an object and object have a title. Okay. And only title I will just give. Suppose I will access like this product dot product dot suppose rating dot rate. If I access like this will return error. Why error? Because error is nothing but rate not defined. Am I right? There is no rate defined. Then how you handle this? Product dot rating question mark dot rate. This is what undefined. It will return undefined. It is not an error. How you verify undefined? If product dot rating, if you write like this, that means returns true when defined. Am I right? Then you can define any action to perform. That's how we manage. So while working with objects, this is one important thing. What is optional chaining? This we use regularly in our React whenever we are trying to use some dynamic properties. These are very important in React. Why? Because actually data will come from APIs. When data will come from APIs, lot of dynamic data they will send. Dynamic data, I will show you practical. That means some have values, some don't have values, some for some products it is because JSON is semi-structured. So if you are dealing with data like Oracle, MySQL, they are completely structured. That means every row can have same number of records. Every row can have same number of fields. But these days people use lot of semi-structured data like MongoDB. MongoDB is semi-structured and structureless. That means one record two fields, another record four fields, another record one field. In one table, there can be record with different set of fields. That type of data to handle, we need this optional chaining is very important. Especially for structureless and semi-structured data, this is important. Because in future, you have to deal with such data, right? So, why this is important? If anyone asks, why optional chaining is important. So why it is important? It is required. It is required to handle. So what to handle? So you can say semi-structured or structureless data. Generally, we call schemaless. Schemaless data, structureless, semi-structured data. That means it can have different. So I will just give you, I have already given this, just this is as a syntax example for JavaScript based to understand about the concept. I hope you are clear. Now, array of objects, how we deal with array of objects. For example, presenting array of objects is little complicated. Suppose you see now in real time how data looks like. So let's say this is open weather map. This is weather data. And you look at the weather data. So let's go to the weather APIs. And you can see in the weather API, current weather data, and you can observe the data comes in a format like this. And it is a JSON type, JavaScript object notation, and it is an object with array type different. So in the next level, we are going to use this. We will create one app like a weather app, right? We will design, but important is you see little complex data. Suppose we have dummy JSON. You can see this is an object with array of objects. That means you see recipes. This is an array and this is an object, array of objects. Then how do we present such complex data? Simple. You see same concept we have to use here. For example, constant. Suppose this is products is equal to use state. It is an array and array of object. Every object have a title. Title I will mention as some TV and have a price, some price. Okay. Similarly, another title and we have like mobile and we have price. So price, some price. Like this, we are having some data. Now this is little complex data. So because it is an array of objects. Now I want to present this in a table form. That means products table. I want to present in a table form. Then how do we design a table? I will just put a table. Border is 1. So width is suppose 100%. Okay. You see in the table, I have T head, TR, TH. I am expecting name and I am expecting price. Because every record have two details. One is title, another one price. So what we need to do in T body? In T body, we have to read every product. Then what we do? Products dot what? Map. Read every product. And for every product, we need to generate one row. And what I will do is for every product, let's put an ID also, one ID as 2. Then what we will do is this row will have a key which will use product ID na? And in the first cell, what to display? In a row first cell, I need to display product title. In the second cell, what to display? We have to display product dot what? Price. That means it is going to generate a table. It is going to design a table for the data. And imagine this we have to do in JavaScript. It's very complicated. We have to create a row. We have to create 2 cells, add the cells into row, add the row into table body. It's a lengthy one. Here just you are updating the data. That means one more record. ID is 3. Title is watch. And it is having some price as some price. And you can see it will display. So presenting data. Remember, presenting completely depends on your HTML, CSS, bootstrap skills. Because in some websites, what they do, they say that present this in a card style, present this in a table, present this in different other formats, which we will see. We will learn different examples of presenting the data. So, but this is one simple concept, right? I will copy this. This is a simple example of how to deal with array of objects. I hope you are clear. Understood? So array, another one array of objects. Now what we will do is we will try to use some real-time API data and create a presentation. So we will create some real world screens by using the real data. For that we need to learn one more. That is how to deal with AJAX. And some more data types are there. Map type, date and time, how to handle. Those 2 types we will finish tomorrow. First you try this, because this is the major thing in React. Because whatever data comes, it will be in either array or object. We need to deal with arrays and objects. If you can try tomorrow, we will discuss data type, how to handle, and we will work on real-time data. We will see how to access data from an API and how to use it. Tomorrow we'll continue with that. Okay, right. Thank you.